Hello, my friends. It's Sachin. Happy 2021. Wow, what a year 2020 was. I hope it was exactly what you expected it to be, because that's the only thing that it truly can be is exactly what we expect it to be. So, welcome 2021. I know for many of you, this is a warm embrace for a new year, many new opportunities, and an amazing new world. A world that I feel is much upgraded from the one we leave behind. And of course, there's so much opportunity that lays ahead for each and every single one of us. And I'm hoping that you leverage that as best you can. So, what I thought I would do is I would take my 21 best principles that I've learned over the last many, many years, reading hundreds of books, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars in travel and tuitions and fees to learn from some of the best people in the world. And, I wanted to share as much as I could. So I thought I'd put it together in these principles for you for both personal and professional success because you have to really strive for both. It's one thing to have professional success, and success is really how we define it, but it's another thing to have personal success. And then it's a whole other thing to have both. So these principles are going to help you build success in both of those aspects of your life. And now, especially since a lot of us are working from home, including myself, those two worlds are difficult to separate. So it's important that we have success in both of those areas of our life as much as we can. So let's get into this. Let's get started. And, there's actually more than 21 principles. I'm going to keep this to the point, brief, because each of these points we can expand on for a lifetime. And I'm not going to do that today because I honor your time as well. So, principle number one, and these aren't in any specific order. They some of these might be more relevant to you than others, and it's hard. It would be impossible for me to put it in the right order for you. What I want you to do is pick the ones that resonate. Hopefully, you're doing a lot of these things already, maybe unconsciously. And if it's unconscious, I want you to become conscious of it. And if it's something you're already doing consciously, then do it more. Do it with a higher level of integrity and a higher level of consistency moving forward and a higher level of awareness. So the first thing is practice self-love. I think that should be the top of all of our lists, to be totally honest, is self-love. The more we can love ourselves, the more we have the capacity to love others. And we can only really, pour out of our hearts what's in there. So we've got to really start with ourselves. It's not selfish. It's actually the right thing to do. Practice self-love, because if your health or your function is a 6 out of 10 of what it can be and really what it should be, then you're only showing up as a 6 out of 10 mom, as a 6 out of 10 spouse, as a 6 out of 10 employee, as a 6 out of 10 entrepreneur or leader, whatever your role is, you are creating a ceiling when you don't have optimal self-love. And really, I think that self-love is what reflects in our health. It reflects, what we eat is an act of self-love. Who we hang out with is an act of self-love. The things we choose to do and not to do are either acts of self-love or really cries for help. So start there, figure out how can you love yourself a little bit more. It might be complimenting yourself when you look in the mirror. It might be improving your diet. It might be waking up a little bit earlier, going to bed a little bit earlier. Whatever that is for you, you've got to figure that out. But lead with love in everything that you do, and ask yourself, is this a way that I can show myself I love myself? Because that is one of the most important things you're going to want to do in 2021. The next thing is to find your satsang. So in Sanskrit, the word satsang loosely translates to sat, which is truth, and sang, which is fellowship. So we want to find our fellowship of truth seekers, just like when Frodo had to take the ring and throw it into the fires of Mordor. You want to find your fellowship of people that are going the same place you're going, that are climbing the same mountain that you're climbing. Because, one of the things I learned is this African proverb, which I really love, is if you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, you go together. So find who you want to go far and together with. And if you find these people in your life and you surround yourself with them, your quality of life is going to automatically improve. We usually will reach for the stars, right? When we surround ourselves with people who are playing a bigger game, a more positive game, a happier game, whatever that is, we generally will more easily role model after them. So who you hang out with makes a huge difference, okay? Jim Rohn says if you hang around dogs long enough, you'll eventually get fleas. The next thing is to be consistent, and consistently good, consistently, doing something positive, okay? Because you could be consistently doing something negative, and that's not a good thing. But to be specific, I want you to specifically do things consistently, and do them with love, do them with a positive intention, and do them with in the knowing that if you do something consistently over a period of time, that's what carves a canyon. So one of the things I love saying is that consistency carves canyons. And this is true in your business, this is true in your relationships, this is true in your friendships. It's true in every area of your life. Just like watering a plant, you've got to be consistent with it. Whatever the cadence is, it's got to be consistent. It can't be whenever you feel like it, okay? The next one is to love everyone, tell the truth. This is from one of my mentors, Ram Dass, and his guru was Neem Karoli. And this is one of the lessons that Neem Karoli taught Ram Dass, which is love everyone, tell the truth. And this is an important one for us to take into consideration, especially right now, when telling the truth might be difficult, when telling the truth might feel uncomfortable for us. But here's the thing, you only tell the truth to the people you truly, truly love. So let's love everyone. Let's tell the truth. And ultimately, that's what we're all seeking, right? If we're fellow satsangis, which is fellow truth seekers, then you're going to want to do more of that. The next one is learn copywriting. Copywriting is an extremely valuable skill for your business. It makes you a much more effective communicator. It makes you better at articulating your message. It makes you more, effective at getting your point across. And copywriting is a skill set that really translates into so many different areas of your life, in personal life, professional life. And it's going to make you a much more effective entrepreneur if you can learn copywriting. So, one of my copywriting coaches is Jennifer Hootie. She runs a company called Conscious Copy. And so our team has recently hired her, and I highly endorse her as well, because she does a fantastic job at capturing your voice and teaching you how to take the story that's already in you and tell it in a way that the other person on the receiving end can truly feel what you're trying to get across. Not just hear what you're saying, but feel what you're saying. Copywriting is a very valuable skill. I would definitely work on mastering that, along with public speaking. So this is an area that I invest a lot of resources in, studying public speakers, learning from public speakers. So one of my coaches, one of my dear friends, Majid Magarban, who is the expert speaker coach, he is a master communicator. You put him on a stage and he does a fantastic job at communicating and articulating his message in an engaging way. And that's something that, as an entrepreneur, and even as a father or a mother or a spouse, as a team member, mastering public speaking and communicating are two hugely important skills. The next thing I want you to also do to promote your business is to learn social media from a pro. And one of the people that I lean on is Dr. Matthew Loop, and he's a best-selling author and social media coach, specifically, helping practitioners in the functional medicine space and the chiropractic space. Amazing all-around human being, dear friend of mine, and I would definitely encourage learning from him. But make sure you learn from a pro. Okay, don't try to figure these things out on your own, because the algorithms are changing, the rules are changing. Sometimes your account's going to get banned because you said something, and it's going to be unconscious to you. If you're going to play the game, then learn how to learn the rules and learn from somebody who's been doing it for years, who's been teaching practitioners for years how to get their message out there. The next one is to expand your scope. So as the world goes more to a virtual model of healthcare, does your scope match your vision? Some people's visions as practitioners, I know for me specifically, I can speak for myself, my vision is so much bigger than what my scope might be as, let's say, a chiropractor, medical doctor, naturopathic doctor, because it doesn't allow me to influence and impact people across state lines or in different countries, even though the information can be truly beneficial for them. So does your scope match your vision? One of the things that I recently did was I became certified as a functional diagnostic nutritionist through FDN. And shout outs to my dear friend, Reed Davis and Jen Malacha for, putting together such a fantastic program. And by being an FDN, I can now influence and impact people all over the world because now my scope of practice matches my vision. So definitely check them out and make sure that that's the case for you. Now, if your scope matches the size of your vision, then double down. If it doesn't, then you're going to want to make sure you do something about that because eventually you're going to come butting up against that. The next thing is to use amazing products from trusted companies. I only recommend products from companies that I actually use, and I encourage you to do the same. So anytime I'm posting something, anytime I'm sharing something, it's coming from a truly authentic place. And I want that to be the case for you as well. If you're a practitioner, you should be recommending and promoting. You should be. It's an obligation that you have to promote the products that you're using, because I promise you, your patients and the people that follow you want to know what you're using. And one of the appropriate things to do is to set up an official relationship with the companies that you use and become an affiliate partner with them. Use amazing products, share these products with your clients, and become affiliate partners, because that's how these companies get to grow and expand and get their message out there. So support amazing companies, the companies that we love supporting and utilizing nutritionally in our practice, Designs for Health, Cellcore Biosciences, Microbiome Labs, and Zymogen. These are, fantastic companies. Shout outs to my friend Jordan, shout out to Dr. Todd Watts and Jay Davidson, shout out to Karan Krishnan. Thank you for all the amazing work you guys do and in putting fantastic products out into the world. So these are products that we use personally. So if you came and looked in my supplement cabinet, you'd see these brands there. And these are the brands that we recommend to our clients. And there's lots of great brands out there. So whatever those brands are for you, make sure that you're, using them for yourself and then promoting them appropriately. The next thing I encourage you to do is Feng Shui. So Feng Shui is an ancient art of, basically, the best way to put it is how to arrange space to create maximum energetic vibration. So, how do we shape the space around us? How do we set up the space around us so that it maximizes energy flow, maximizes our efficiency and our focus, and all of these things that we need to be successful? So I would recommend hiring a Feng Shui coach instead of reading a book, because they're going to pick up things that you haven't read about in the book, or they're going to be able to put together patterns and things like that you may not be able to. So I would definitely hire a Feng Shui coach. My coach is Sid, and she's amazing. I can definitely connect you with her if you're interested. She does remote work. She can also come to where you are if that's appropriate. So amazing way to improve the energy of the space that you're in. And I highly encourage that you explore that. One of the key principles of Feng Shui is minimalism. If your desk is cluttered, it's going to be very distracting. So declutter your space. That's a good place to start when it comes to Feng Shui. And another good rule of Feng Shui is that you should always be facing the door of the room that you're in. Your back should not be to the door. So those simple things can make a big difference in how you feel in that space. Really simple shift that you can do. And it's a kind of a great 1 hour project for you to declutter and move the furniture around in your office if you need to. Next thing I suggest is you support your favorite cause, because it's important that we always, wherever we can, we pay it forward. I encourage you to do that. I try to do that as much as I can. Pay it forward. Support the things that you love and that you care about, and the things that are going to really make, the companies and organizations that are going to make a big difference in the world out there. Okay, so I love supporting some of the things that we do. We have a hospital in Uganda. We feed people here in North America. I donate to the temple. We also have an orphanage, and there's all kinds of different projects that we work on. So figure out what that is for you. Support your favorite cause. The next one is to book a vacation, and that might be something close to you. It might be a staycation, might be in your own hometown, but book a vacation. Take some time off. Create that space for yourself for healing and regeneration and shifting your environment, especially if you've been cooped up in the same place for a while. Switching up your environment makes a big difference in terms of your creativity. The next thing is, you might want to consider refreshing your brand and message. 2020 was a game-changing year in so many ways. Lots has changed. People's perceptions of things have changed. People's values have probably changed a little bit as well, or certain aspects of them may be, brought to the surface more. So I would definitely encourage you to, refresh your brand and your message. It might be a color refresh. It might be refreshing some of the images on your website. It could be your entire message, or it could be a few words in your message to update it to make a little bit more sense for this coming year. I'd also encourage you to get some new pictures for your website and, give it a refresh that way. Gives you a reason to get dressed up and support a local photographer. I would definitely encourage you to do that too. It's a great way to refresh your look and make you feel like there's a new energy in your business as well. The next one is to become a better gifter. So I would encourage reading the book Giftology. My friend John Ruhlin wrote that book, and I'm becoming a better gifter this year. I actually hired his company to help me go deeper down that rabbit hole of gifting, because it is a very important art in your business. And unless you have any training on it, you may not actually have, you may not be a good gifter. You might think you are, but you may not be, based on some of the principles that John teaches. So I would definitely get the book Giftology. It's a great read, and it's pretty simple and straightforward. All right. The next one is to get an Aura ring. So an Aura ring is a great tracking tool. I use it to track my sleep specifically, as well as my heart rate variability, so I can see how well I'm recovering from day to day. I can see if I'm getting enough rest, if I'm getting into the right stages of sleep, and I can also track my behaviors. I can see if what I'm doing is working. I can see what my meal timing does to my sleep. I can see what certain nutraceuticals or specific foods do to my sleep. I can see what late nights do to my sleep. So these are things that you can have to have better awareness of your health and healing. And then you can also look for trends using an Aura ring. And the Heart Math is a HRV trainer. It trains you in becoming more resilient. It trains you in helping you get more in tune with your breath. And that helps, in improving HRV and stress resilience. The other thing I didn't put in here, but worth doing and worth noting, is taking a cold shower. So, set the water to the coldest possible temperature it can go, or at least meet yourself wherever you can go. I suggest, it's uncomfortable even if it's not that cold. It's just as uncomfortable if it's freezing, in my opinion. So just make it as cold as possible, and do that for the last 30 seconds of your shower and watch what happens. You're going to feel totally lit and woken up. But what I try to do is I try to go for a minute, and I will go all the way cold, and I will try to keep my breath at 6 seconds in, 6 seconds out. So a calm paced breath while I'm undergoing that stress will build more resilience into my nervous system. So if you can tolerate that kind of adversity and override your nervous system using your breathing, then guess what? In less, stressful situations, so to speak, you're going to be able to handle them much better. All right. Another thing is to learn how to breathe. So a big rabbit hole that I went down this year was becoming a breathwork facilitator. So big shout out to my friend Giovanni Bartolomeo from Elemental Wellness in Vaughan, Ontario. And big shout out to The Art of Living, and huge shout out to James Nestor, who wrote the best book this year, probably one of the best books I've read in my entire lifetime, most important book certainly, which is called Breath. I actually got a signed copy for all of my top clients this year because it is a powerful, powerful book. So definitely read that book, listen to it, watch some of his interviews, or listen to the audiobook if you don't have time to read. But I would definitely encourage you to sink your teeth into that one. I also became a breathwork instructor to teach the elemental breathwork experience. Not teach it, I'm sorry, but to facilitate it. So as a breathwork facilitator, I've taken, dozens of people now through breathwork, and it's been transformational for them. And I look forward to doing more of that. But the main reason I learned it was so that I could become a better breather, a more conscientious breather. So a couple of tips that I found that have helped me. I've always been a nose breather, but I talk a lot. And when you speak, generally you're going to breathe through your mouth more. So what I do at night now is I tape my mouth shut. That improves my deep sleep significantly. And I wear a Breathe Right strip on my nose because I do have a deviated septum. And what I found is that I'm not snoring anymore, and I'm getting more deep sleep, which to me are two huge wins. And I'm waking up, my HRV is higher, things are moving in the right direction. My actual heart rate is lower, and my breaths per minute have gone down as well. So correct breathing makes a huge difference. A couple good books, Breath is one of them, and then The Oxygen Advantage. You might want to check that one out as well, by Patrick McEwen. All right, next tip for 2021 is to get a great mic and webcam. So if you do a lot of Zoom calls, and especially if you're doing webinars and things like that, then I would definitely encourage you to get a really good microphone and a good webcam, because that's going to give you more confidence. It's going to give you more certainty. And one of the things that happens when I get on a video call with people now is they see my setup and they immediately know they're on a call with a pro. They immediately know that I'm not messing around, because I've got a great mic. I've got a 4K camera. I recommend the Logitech Brio, and Shure makes some really good mics that can plug right into your phone, or you can get the mic that I have, which is one of their top end mics, the same one Joe Rogan uses. And it's the Shure, I think it's the MB7 or something like that. You can look it up. So the other thing I want you to focus on is creating more white space in 2021. White space is essentially where you're doing nothing. It could be different things for different people. So for me, it's going for a walk, or it could be a cold bath, like an ice bath. It could be going into the sauna. It could be, doing some breath work and meditation. So that white space is where you're trying to create in some way sensory deprivation, or you're disconnecting from your senses and you're going inwards as opposed to outwards. That white space is where all creativity comes from. When we're in our senses, when we're watching something on TV, or sometimes even if we're listening to something, depending on what we're listening to, it could actually cause a reaction in our body, right? So then we're reacting to our senses as opposed to disconnecting from our senses and going inwards. This is where all creation comes from. And, I think we all could use some more creativity moving forward. And that white space is where all your problem solving skills come from as well. It's easier to get there with the breath. One of the things that I love doing is ice baths, and taking an ice bath while getting really slow in your breath makes a powerful difference. I mean, people shouldn't even know you're breathing, and you can go pretty deep. It's a very powerful meditative state that you can get into. I also encourage you to get a nice journal and pen. Getting a nice journal and pen makes a big difference, because every time you open up that journal, there's this feeling that you get. And when you have a nice pen to write with, there's a feeling that comes from that. I love writing things down. I carry my journal everywhere I go. If I had to choose between my journal and my computer, I would take my journal, because my most powerful ideas come when I'm writing, when I'm doodling, when I'm connecting the dots. And I can't do that on a computer, because it's not as effective and as impactful for me. So get a nice journal, get a nice pen, write every single day, write something, right? Whatever that might be. I wrote down this list before I put it into my computer, before I put it into this presentation. I wrote it down in a journal, because that's when my creativity flows. All right. The next one is be in the moment. Okay. And it also means me in the moment. So where are you in the moment? Get clear with that. Okay. So it's one thing to be in the moment. It's another thing to check in and say, where is me in the moment? How am I reacting? What's triggering me? So have that awareness of yourself. It's a powerful tool for self-development. Next thing is to listen better. Of course, we've all heard this, right? We have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Listen better, listen deeply, listen intentfully. So one of my mentors, I would say, somebody that I've learned from certainly, is Sean Calgi. And Sean teaches something which is called 5D listening. This is where you're immersed into listening to what that person is saying. If you can do that as a human being on a professional level, on a personal level, people are going to really honor that part of you. So become a better listener. And when you become a better listener, you become a better problem solver. Remember, the more we listen, the more we can learn. When we're talking, we're repeating something we already know. When we listen, we could be learning something we don't know. The next thing is wake up an hour earlier. Some of you might already be waking up super early already. So if that's the case, so be it. But, try to, push yourself a little bit. Wake up an hour earlier. And that hour is where there's a lot of stillness in your home. There's a lot of stillness in your mind. There's a lot of stillness, even in nature. So if you can wake up before everyone else, there's something magical that happens. Okay. And I can't quite explain it, but every successful person has a tendency to wake up earlier in the day. Of course, there's always going to be some exceptions, but that hour that you have in the morning where nobody else is up, where none of the birds are up just yet, none of the squirrels are up, nature hasn't awakened yet, you have control over that hour. And there's so many things that you can do in that hour. Of course, I would focus it on self-care and self-love. Next thing is acquire new team members. So, your business might need new tools and new team members, new vendors, new coaches, new people to help you create some new energy in there. So I would definitely be open and receptive to that. Focus on who, not how. So my friend Dan Sullivan and Ben Hardy wrote a great book called Who, Not How. And what they teach you is to focus on who's going to help you solve the challenges and problems that you have, not how are you going to solve the problems and challenges that you have, because you may not have that capability or capacity or skill set. So let somebody else do some of that heavy lifting for you. So figure out who you can hire or what things you can outsource in your business, because that's going to help you move so much faster. Spend more time in nature. This goes without explanation. When we spend time in nature, it heals our brain, it heals our nervous system, it heals our immune system. I mean, there's so many benefits to being outdoors. And I feel like many of us, including myself, could benefit from spending more time, especially not just outdoors, but in nature. And when I say in nature, not going through nature, but in nature, meditating in the woods, sitting there for 10 minutes, listening to the sounds, observing what's going on, observing the stillness or the chaos, whatever it might be, being one with nature. If you can do that, that's going to make a powerful difference in your nervous system and creativity. Acquire timeless wisdom, and that could be reading scripture, it could be reading certain books, it could be reading, for me, it's the Bhagavad Gita or the Tao Te Ching. I love reading books like that because that information was relevant a few thousand years ago, and I'm finding that it's even more relevant right now. Timeless wisdom withstands the test of time, and that's why it's still around. If you build your life around these timeless principles, build your business around these timeless principles, it's going to survive in the long run. It's always going to be ups and downs, but it's going to survive in the long run. Next one is roll the boulder downhill. So this year in 2021, I want you to roll the boulder downhill. Instead of keep pushing the boulder uphill, more training, more this, more that. What I want you to do is I want you to roll the boulder downhill, but create a track for that boulder to roll down. Create a system or a process or a blueprint. So as you roll that boulder, which is a representation of all the potential energy you've built up over the years, learning your craft, mastering your craft, being able to help and serve people. A lot of us take for granted what we know. So this year, I want you to roll that boulder down the hill, because all that stored potential energy is going to be unleashed through your business. And rolling the boulder downhill means that you've already done all the heavy work. You've done the heavy lifting. And now is your chance to not do more of that. Okay. Hopefully you're not choosing that. The next thing is mentorship. And mentorship means surrounding yourself with the right people, with the right tribe, with the right leadership, so that it forces you in a it doesn't force you, but it encourages you and it excites you to up level your game, because you're surrounding yourself with people who have up leveled their game. Encourage you to look for mentorship, and mentorship could come from books. Mentorship could come from watching YouTube videos. Mentorship could come from following people online. It could be from engaging deeply with somebody as well. It could be joining a mentorship. I mean, there's a variety of different ways that you can acquire mentorship. Some of my greatest mentors in my life, I would say, aren't even alive right now, but their wisdom is timeless and it lives on and it lives through me. I do want to give some shout outs to my mentors like Matthew Loop, Dr. Peter Osborne, JJ Virgin, Carl Krummenacher, Joe Polish. I mean, these are people that have, poured energy into me, and I appreciate them so much. And there's, of course, so many people that I left off, but I want you to seek mentorship, seek surrounding yourself with people who are a few steps ahead, perhaps, are willing to share and share the same values that you do. So there you have it. Those are your 21 plus tips for success in 2021 and really beyond. You can see that these principles are really timeless, but the key is that we incorporate them into our lives. So with that, lots of love, lots of success, lots of prosperity in 2021 and beyond. Wishing you nothing but greatness. Have an amazing, amazing rest of your day. Bye for now.